Welcome back to the Low Stick Podcast. I'm with my co-host Eric Detman. I'm Jason Retz. We are here at the beginning of December. We skimmed through championship season, through our NXR, through our Foot Locker, and we are NXN week for us. We've had NCAA's happening. We've had all kinds of crazy stuff happening. Big news from both of our ends with the upcoming week, and um, excited for what the future brings. How is the weather in Portland right now? Everybody wants to know.
Well, it's kind of a perfect sunny day. It actually feels a lot like a Midwest kind of wintry type day. 50 degrees, blue skies, no clouds, nice big sun. So, supposed to be this Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Thursday is supposed to be a little bit rainy, Friday a little rainy, Saturday a little rainy. Although, when we're supposed to be at Glendoveer for some of the running activities, whether it's pre-meet or race day, and I'm like hesitating whether I say this because I don't want to jinx it, but it looks like it's supposed to be dry when we're there.
Yeah, the percent chances are low right now. I mean, obviously it can change, but it looks like it could be there. So why the heck are you going to be there?
Our girls team qualified
Hey,
uh,
congratulations.
as a team. Thank you. Yeah, it was exciting, very exciting NXR race, and obviously you'll be there as well, which is exciting.
Yeah, I get to improve the Downers Grove team. Since simple Illinois rules, you can't coach your own team, and there's no club affiliation thing. Illinois is just wild as far as rules are concerned. So I will be taking over the helm of DGN. So watch out because we should be even better than before without Sipple in the way.
Make sure you stand on the podium too.
Oh, absolutely. Coaches interviews, whatever it is, I'm
Yeah.
there first base. I will say we were at Foot Locker this weekend, and my second team, the DGM boys, put three in the top 25, which is pretty awesome, qualifying one
Yeah.
to go out to San Diego. So that's pretty exciting. That's quite the accomplishment. So they got three kind of lower sticks. Hopefully we can keep that rolling into this next week. You like how I'm
Yeah.
using me?
Yeah. I know exactly, right? When are you moving to the Chicago suburbs?
I don't need to. I can do it from here. It should be fun. Absolutely. And you guys are revved up, ready to go?
Yeah, yeah. The last couple of weeks has been good. This year's it's been tough with some sickness stuff that we've dealt with a handful of our girls. So, even NXR, like we had people who were sick. So it's just been kind of a battle, but it really and truly it's a testament to those kids and they just keep showing up for each other and when it matters the most, they're at their best, which is pretty cool. And there's not a lot of people who can say that. Um, and you just feel really proud as a coach that there's certain things that you ask for and certain things you talk about, and you never know if it's going to work out the way that that you hope or the way that they deserve. But they show up, man. They show up. So extra couple weeks was really nice to try to get healthy and get a couple more tough workouts in and see what we're capable of come Saturday.
Yeah. So prior to that, we both completed some state championship races. You walked away with two podium finishes, fourth for the guys and first for the girls. Congratulations on those.
Thank you.
We walked away with a pair of 12th place finishes. And want to talk about this just a little bit. We're going to kind of focus this week on what worked for our teams. And I'll be completely honest. If you would have looked at our times for our guys and you said that we finished 12th, I told you were crazy. I really thought that place wise, it was definitely a top 10, maybe even top eight performance time wise. But things have just been fast all over the place. For our girls to be all state top 25, it took 17:55 just to be one of the top 25. And luckily, we had a gal take the 25th place, which is crazy to be that fast. Normally, it's been like 18:25, right? So you're almost 30 seconds faster on average to end up with a all-state finish. Guys wise was the same, and in all three classes. The team, simple team that I'm going to be taking out, knocked off one of the York teams as the fastest team in history, with their average being, or I'm sorry, their overall time being lower than anybody's ever had. I mean, it was just fast. I mean, I don't know how, and we talked about this a little bit, but how fast was Oregon, state meet wise?
It was quick this year, honestly, because we didn't get rain.
Yeah.
Like our state meet course is, so the way that it's set up is we have before the 6A races, you have one, two, 6 races. So by the time you get to like the big divisions where I coach, you have 6 races and you get a lot of rain the day before, you get a lot of rain the day of. Like that course becomes kind of like a sloppy, soupy, uh, really tough, challenging course to run on. And there's no rain leading up. There was no rain the day, so it ran quick, like really, really quick, which was cool. It's not a fast course. There's a lot of wood chips. You go back to this pond area a couple times. The footing there is so-so. You have three, decent climbs, not long, but short, steep hills that you definitely feel in the back half of the race. So yeah, it ran really quick this year, which was cool. But just the girls uh, to win, we were down by 12 points with 2K to go and or down by 15 and we won by 12. Like they did a great job. The boys, like we didn't qualify as a team last year. We're in the toughest district in the state. Got fifth, missed qualifying by 2 points. Came back and won a trophy the following year with three sophomores in our top seven. Like it's kind of unheard of at the 6A level. So really, really proud of those kids to step up. And I've used this stat a number of times, and it's a way that I like to coach. And I know some people don't like comparison or whatever, or in a sport where comparison is the number one thing.
Right.
That doesn't mean that we should compare ourselves to everybody, but there is a sense of that, right?
Yeah.
And our boys as freshmen, if you looked at them in just our division, 6A, so not the entire state of Oregon, they were the 22nd best freshman class in the state. And we went from 22nd, I'm sorry, in 6A. We went from 22nd best in our conference division, whatever, to finishing fourth in the state meet. Like pretty proud of that.
Yeah. Some great progress along the years.
Yeah,
All
I mean
right.
we had
So when you're looking, as we start to dive in this, when you're looking at the things that have worked for you this year specifically, along that development, obviously consistency and mileage, but what can you put your finger on a few things that have really helped you specifically this year, training wise, chemistry wise, whatever that might be, to help your guys get to where they were this year?
I think there's a couple things that I really, when I think back on the boys team specifically this year, that really made me proud was our leadership. We have a guy, Finn Lee, who's a senior, who came into the program as a sophomore, was not a runner, played football his freshman year. And just his way of taking some of those under and upperclassmen under his wing and kind of molding this team around like this is what we want to be and recognizing, he and I shared a moment after districts. We won our district title. And last year we didn't qualify. And he and I were chatting after that meet at our post districts dinner. And he was asking me some questions. I'm like, listen, if we want to be good again, like we have a lot of work to do. We are not close. And he took that to heart, and not only for himself, but like took that to heart with everybody else and really demanded the most of his teammates, which was cool to see. So I think that's a big part. Like our boys team is super tight and we're talented. Our number 10 returner next year ran 16:10 this year for 5K. Um, so we have some talent, but his ability to like cultivate that group and bring it together was really awesome. Um, we switched some things in the middle of the year on the boys' side. We wouldn't do this on the girls' side, but on the boys' side, it really worked. And it actually harpens back to my York days a little bit. Um, Everybody worked out in the same group. So we had 10 guys running mile repeats. And my number one maybe got like 10 more seconds of rest. But in the grand scheme of things, it didn't really matter, right? Like what is another 10 seconds going to do? But guess what? Our 1 through 5 split was 30 seconds,
Yeah.
which is pretty stellar. When you think about a number one, unfortunately, he got super sick at the state meet and it was 27th or something like that. But we thought he was going to be, right around ninth or 10th. So if you got 30 seconds, between 10th and 10th place guy,
Right.
that's pretty good. That's pretty good top five, top seven. So um, that actually really helped a lot. Like keeping those guys together and having them run together a lot, I think really helped. Training wise, like I don't know that we changed that much. I think, the more years that we train for cross country, the more I realize that like we need to go deeper into the season with summer training, summer in quotes, right? Like fartleks and, longer thresholds and long runs with progressions and stuff like that on the end. Like we don't need to really dive into doing Ks at 5K pace in early September. Um, so every year we go a little bit further. And I
Yeah.
think this year we went a little further and it helped. It really helped.
Well, and you take a look at some of those NCAA guys that ran on the for the Olympics a little bit. They were taking their breaks in August and getting ready to go. I mean, it just proves, your base. You can get back to it and run fast when it matters. You just have to put yourself in position and be slow and patient with the progress that those workouts help develop, right? And
Right.
I think the more you can stay with that, the more success you can find. Very similar on our guys' end. We did that at times too. At the beginning of the year, we were a little spread apart further where we didn't lump as many people together, but we got halfway through the year and we just needed some people to make a jump. And we started lumping everybody together in workouts or a decent chunk of them, right? And it was really paying off. And we saw that performance regional sectionals of state. If you asked me who's my 1 through 7, I couldn't have told you the order or who it was going to
Right.
be. They were so close together, and on a day somebody felt good and would accelerate the last mile better than the person next to him, but the next meet it was somebody else. So
Right.
I think that helped us big time as well. They felt not a pecking order, but they felt a sense of being together and being able to help each other out in certain points of the race,
Right. I
playing to
think
each other's
too,
strengths.
yeah, and I think to your point and my point of like going deeper into the season with that summer type training is like helping the kids to realize that they need to stay patient.
Yeah.
Like kids, I think want to run fast and they want to do all these things and like I want to go, at 5K pace in early September. Like I want to start ripping and, helping them to realize why patience is going to pay off and doing more of this like strength type work is really going to be beneficial when it comes to the state meet. And you may not see exactly what you want to see on September 10th, but you're going to see exactly what you want to see on November 7th.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree with that more. And I think, dosing your faster stuff with strides or whatever that looks like for you can
Mhm.
still be present, but having that large dosage of threshold type work is so important, way deep into the
Yeah.
season.
And to your point, the strides thing, like the Jay Johnson document around strides and what that should look like and stride buildup and things like that, like that is such a money document. And honestly, like when I think of like the biggest changes in our program that have helped us to find the success that we have, if I'm looking at like a top three or top five, strides is in that because it's such an easy way to get, some idea of turning over. I'm not going to call it speed, but it's an idea of turning over so that when you have to do that in a race or you have to do that in a workout as you progress through the year, it doesn't feel so hard.
Yeah.
And yeah, for us, like that is in our top 3 to 5, most important changes we've made since 2019.
So like we're 3 weeks removed from our state meet and we ran Foot Locker on Saturday. And anybody that knows the Foot Locker Midwest course, the first 1K is uphill. Well, we were straight
Mhm.
into the wind and the race really started to happen once you got to the 2K mark. And for pretty much every single one of our kids that raced, they moved up significantly from 2K to the end. In the last 3 weeks for us, we've just been doing threshold stuff and strides on easy runs. So like that's where we've
Yeah.
been doing those things. We haven't been specific on our group work. One of my young ladies who finished fourth in the high school race, she was like 16th at the 2K, and she moved up all the way to fourth place, passing two people in the last 400 meters or 200 meters there after you come down the hill. That happens because of the strides we're doing. That's not coming because of specific work that we're doing. They are
Right.
still trying to build and build and build and be somebody new here.
Yeah. I think another thing we've done that's been really helpful is, we've been working on, and it's funny. So I'm gonna be talking at the Boulder Running Clinic with my assistant Marie. Um, and one of the things that we were asked to talk about is training, which is like my like absolute fear to talk about. Like, we're gonna have Jeff Messer talking about training at the same clinic as me, who's gonna go into like the, micro blah 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 of this and the meta of whatever of that. And I'm like, yeah, man, we do some 300s because like that's what I did in high school and it worked. And I've talked to other coaches and I've seen my kids do it and it makes a lot of sense, right? Like I'm not a guru by any sense of the word, but there's things that we've done and implemented within our program that I think have made us closers. And if you look at the state meet, like Well, even backtrack at the district meet, our boys, like with 500 meters to go, we were in third or fourth and we win. Right? The state meet with 2K to go, we're in second, we win. With 2K to go at NXR, we're in third and we get second. Like our kids have an ability to close, and it's not just a well, you're just more talented than that team. That's why you close. You weren't working as hard. No, our kids were working their ass off.
Yeah.
But we've done some things in practice to really simulate what that means and not just doing it, right? Not just, okay, we're going to run 3 200s hard at the end of this workout, but talking about why we do it. Like I'm a big person. This rep is entering the blue track at the state meet. So when a kid runs, you know, 41 seconds for their last 300 in a workout, when they get to the blue track of the state meet, they know, oh, I've already done that.
Yep.
And I think that that's a big difference. And I don't, again, this is me. I'm not a guru by any sense of the word, but like, I think that's a big difference between maybe us and other people is like they talk about closing, but not in the sense of like we're doing this for that. Not
Right.
in the sense of like we're replicating an experience that they're going to have in the future. But if we can replicate that in practice, regardless of whether they're closing on a track, closing on grass, closing on dirt, whatever, those kids know I've already done that. I can close.
Well, and let's be clear, they have to have the strength mentally and physically to be able to be in that position to close. And you build that in
Right,
practice. You build that
right,
confidence that you can do this in practice. And it's not always in it. I don't want people to get a misconception here. This is not like we're running quarters in the last one. We're just going to crush it every time. This isn't like a last rep hero type of scenario, right?
right,
You're building this in when you need it built and how you need it built. It's a threshold day. Now let's run 2:45 for the last K, right? That's not what we're doing here. And
right,
I think we're very similar in that way. We're doing specific things to help that. We replicate that. We visualize that, but it's don't ruin a workout because we want to finish fast at the end, just to finish fast.
right.
Um, so, so obviously, the great improvements that you've had throughout the course of the year. You've had now 3 weeks since your state meet like us. You've run NXR. You kind of had a week in between, and you're running NXN this week. Your guys did not qualify for NXN. What does the season look like for them? Like, how are you building from their success, right? Because you did some things really well throughout the course of the season to get them there. Is the energy still up? What does that look like? How are you going to build what worked for you during the season into the off season for them?
I'm having a fire alarm.
All right. So you notice we're wearing different clothes. We're in different locations. There are different things happening. There has been a time jump here of about a week. Um, we've had a fire alarm go off at Lincoln High School. We've both been out to NXN and me back. Hopefully you're still out there. And we're both wearing green.
Go Dukes.
Oh,
Go
well,
Ducks.
yeah. Ironically, the other teacher and I were also wearing green. I told everybody it was Environmental Education Day. So
Mm,
we'll just go with it. It sounds
I
good, right?
love that.
Right. All right. So before the fire alarm, we were talking, and good finishes from both NXN. Maybe we can cover that in next month's episode, but we'll
Sure.
finish with what we're doing here. All right. So when we were leaving off on the success your boys have had during the course of the season, what worked for them, and what momentum you are building from that moving into the off season. What does it look like for them right now? Are they fired up, ready to go, or what's going on there?
Yeah, yeah. Most of our kids' first week back was last week. So they're excited to build off of what we've already done, which is exciting and really cool to see. Um, I think the big thing is, and so we started doing some exit interviews about a week ago, and the big thing that I started talking about with some of those younger kids is stepping into more of a leadership role. So we're looking at our seniors this spring. They've got one more season, so who are going to be the kids that are going to step up and replace them? So that's some of that momentum because our seniors did such a good job to carry us to the point we're at now. It's up to those juniors, those sophomores, and even those freshmen. to pick up on that and continue that momentum. So that's a big piece. So they're excited. Kids are running hard, running every day kind of thing. December, I've talked about this in the past in the podcast. Like for us, that's a month where it's on the kids. I don't write workouts. I'll send out like a mileage buildup sheet and things like that. But I really allow them to be creative and put that onus on them to go after it. Because I believe that in order to be really great, like you have to want to do it and not do it because a coach is standing there holding a stopwatch telling you what to do. And December's their month to do that. And it's tough in Oregon. It's dark, it's cold, it's wet, it's raining, it's all these things. But if they can want to do it in December, they're gonna do it in May.
So when you finished the year last year, after a little bit of devastation, not qualifying for state, like, do
Mhm.
you see some similar motivation, or is it a refined motivation, or what's the difference? Because there are many coaches that are listening to this that are coming through that situation. Like, they either had a disappointing year, or all of a sudden, bam, we had a great year, the momentum going forward. What's the change in the team dynamic, or is there one?
Yeah, honestly, it's funny. Like, was it disappointing that we didn't qualify for the state meet last year? Yeah, absolutely it was. But when I look back on the improvement of those kids over the course of the season, it was remarkable. Two of those guys were freshmen. One of those guys was a 19 something 5K guy who ran 16:30 as a sophomore. Like the improvement in that group was really amazing. Um, so there was a bit of a chip on their shoulder for not qualifying. So they worked really, really hard. We won our district meet. We got fourth at the state meet, but they wanted a little bit more. And they ran well at the state meet, but they wanted a little bit more. So I think it's that same chip, right? Like
Yeah.
we want to be the best. We want to win a state championship. If that's going to be the case, like we can't settle. And I think they're doing a really good job of that already, of like, we're not going to settle. We're going to keep working hard. So really similar mindset after last fall is like, we're not going to take our foot off the gas. We're going to keep working hard and keep grinding to get everything that we deserve.
Awesome. So on this December month, um, they're just on their own. Are you seeing like have you seen them being together out running, or what's that look like?
Mhm. Yeah, I'll see that in Strava. Like yesterday, I think 4 or 5 of our freshmen went for a run together, which was cool, which was exciting. So they're really good about that. Like they're good at like after school, the 6 of us are going to meet here, or 10 of us are going to meet there, or we're going to drive to this location and go run. Like they're really good about that. And that's one thing I really appreciate about our group is like they're doing it together, and building those relationships. When there's not a coach watching and helping with that.
All right, so we know this is some great adaptations. We know for your girls team, they were state champs and they were NXN qualifiers, and from the outside, that looks awesome. I know that there were some challenges along the way. Um, what did that look like for you as far as making positive adjustments and kind of learning as you go as a coach through some of that stuff? You know, not everybody's got ups and downs throughout the course of their season, and me knowing some of those adjustments that you made were awesome. But how difficult was that for you to identify them and to kind of make those on so they could be successful changes for you?
Yeah, it was tough. This year, like you said, from an outsider perspective, looks awesome. But was probably the most challenging year coaching wise that we've had. Coming into the season, big expectations, and with big expectations potentially comes big pressure, and then just continuing to live up to what we've built over the previous years, and knowing that we were in the hunt to win a state championship. Coming up just a little bit short last year, like there was a lot of things that we wanted to try to accomplish, and it just kept feeling like we were getting hit by like thing after thing after thing after thing. So for some of those adjustments, kudos to my assistants. They've been really helpful with a lot of that kind of stuff. Marie, especially with bouncing ideas off her from specifically from a woman's perspective has been helpful. But I think I want to believe that like one of my best attributes as a coach is responding to situations and adjusting based on what I'm seeing, hearing, feeling. And that was a lot of this year. There could be a workout that we were having somebody do that wasn't going well, and we had to make an adjustment to do something that was going to give them a confidence boost. We did that, making adjustments where this was the plan 3 weeks ago, but now we have to adjust that because of whatever sickness has occurred, or this was the racing strategy, but now we're going to adjust that because we have to, prepare for a different race strategy based on some of the health stuff that was going on. So the whole year, it just felt like constant adjustments. Like I don't know that every day or any day felt like status quo. We just had to keep adjusting and finding things that worked, and sometimes it didn't always work, but that's not necessarily a bad thing either. But kudos to the girls, for being really patient with us. Kudos to the girls for never stop, believing in themselves. And thankfully things worked out, really, really well.
Yeah, and I think if you're a new coach or even a veteran coach, sometimes it's good to hear that. Like what you have on paper looks great when you put it in this timeline, but that may not always be the thing that moves forward, right? I think of our season, we did a really nice job being able to stay fairly healthy throughout the course of the season, and we were really able to um, follow the track of being linear. But the adjustments we made were who we were putting together and how we were running certain workouts, whether the wind or the weather or whatever outside things made us make some of those adjustments. Similar to you, ours was adjustments that needed to be made so that we could be successful when it was important, which is race day, all the way across the board. And uh, having something on paper and executing what's on the paper isn't always what happens. And
Yeah.
and even when you're in the moment of it, adjusting the reps, we were running a workout where trying to finish a little bit faster, and we were running eights at the end, and it just wasn't going the way we wanted it. And so we cut it into quarters, two quarters together with really short rests with 30 seconds. Because I just didn't feel like the quarter was accelerating the way, or the 800 was accelerating the way we wanted. But then when we finally made that adjustment, I mean, I'm sprinting across the track to get them during the rest intervals to stop them, be like, okay, just stop. 30 seconds, let's roll on to the next one. It made such a great change. And you could see the posture of the kids really felt like they could attack it. That's on me. I mean, I just should have thought about the work and the load and the weather for the day. It was hotter on the track. You get on the turf, and we've talked about this. When you get on the turf and it's sunny outside, it's like 10 to 15, 20 degrees warmer when you're there than when you're not there. And we do most of our workouts away from the track. So if we are doing that workout on our 400-meter loop in the grass, it's probably fine. But when it's
Mhm.
20 degrees warmer in the sun and there's not a lot of breeze, it was just impossible to tackle. And being able to make that change on the fly was super important. And that's just one small adaptation make throughout the course of the season.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think that the best coaches are adjusting on the fly, and kind of reading their kids. And I think back to like at the beginning of the year, I send a calendar out with all of the workouts that I'm anticipating we're going to do that year or that season, and like what day it's going to be on. And 25% of them are what we end up doing for,
Yeah.
30%. Like you just adjust based on what you're seeing.
Yeah, I made the first 3 weeks of the track season. I posted the first one on Google Classroom for our kids just to get an idea where we're going to start. And they go, "Are we really going to do that week?" I go, "I don't know. What's the
Mhm.
weather going to be?
Mhm.
This is the ideal scenario. We can always adjust from this." So it's great to have a plan. It doesn't always work the way
Right.
it's supposed to.
Totally.
All right. So, what about chemistry wise? What worked for you? With some of the pressures of success on one side and the desire to improve to be able to be better than they were before with the guys. What were some of the chemistry things that really worked for you this year, or something that you may have done a little different?
Our captains, hats off to them. Like, there's certain things I want to take credit for with those guys. Like our senior leaders, especially a kid named Finley for us this year, magical what they did. I mean, Finn just like took everybody under his wing. And you would see, 17 boys lead the school and go for a run. And they didn't all necessarily finish together because distances were different, but he did a really amazing job of creating this amazing team culture. And when I do exit interviews with the kids after the season and I just talk with them a little bit one-on-one, like they all talk about on the guys side, like the team culture this year was amazing, and everybody felt valued. Whether you were number 11 or you were number 6 running at the state meet, like everybody felt like they were part of it. Everybody felt like they were standing on the podium at the state meet. Like it was really wonderful this year, and Finn did a great job, and the kids in general did a really great job of creating this welcoming, awesome environment.
Did Finn have somebody that he could model some of his leadership when he was younger, or did you walk him through that process? And I think this is important because it's very
Yeah,
rare to get a great leader these days.
yeah. So he did. We had a kid, Eamon Witten, last year who I think did a really good job of helping him figure out some of those things. There was some conversation between Finn and I, and I'd give him some cues. I really need your help with this. I need you to make sure you focus on that. Like there were side texts that Finn and I were on that I would give him some feedback. But he did a really good job of like taking what I was asking and not, just copy and pasting my text, but communicating it in a way that was going to work for all the guys on the team. And that was really awesome. So it was a combination of the two, but honestly, hats off to Finn because he just gets it, and he has his parents did an amazing job. Like he's done a great job of developing leadership skills. But I think the biggest thing for him is like the conversation's not always easy, but he's always receptive to feedback, and that's one thing I really appreciate about him.
So what about your girl side? I mean, you got some pressure there doing what you did the
Mhm.
year before. Culture wise, what did that look like? Similar, just leadership there, or what?
Yeah, yeah. It's every group's a little bit different. I think, for the girls, it was just an understanding that like everyone's got to take care of their individual business in order for us to find the success that we want to have. Um, and that's not to say that there wasn't, leadership and there wasn't, people collectively coming together, because that was certainly happening, but it was just a little bit different. And I think that's what this group needed. Like, we needed our one to believe they were the best number one, and the two to believe that they were the best number two, and for them to individually take care of what they needed to take care of for us to find success.
Yeah, that's
Um,
ownership. I mean, that's just
yeah,
it's ownership of your team.
right. And they did a really tremendous job of that, whether it was number seven, number six, number 11. Um, it was in some ways it was interesting this year. We had to make some tough decisions in regards to NXR, like who we took, who we didn't take. And there were some girls that were really, really sad. And in some ways that was really heartbreaking, and it was, but in other ways it was amazing that these JV girls so badly wanted to participate in this postseason meet to see what they were capable of doing. Like, I just feel really lucky that we've built up this program where your number 17 cares as much as your number one,
Yeah.
and really wants, the same opportunities as your number one. And the girls, I think, did a tremendous job of that. And we're young. Like the majority of our team is sophomores and freshmen. So that's really cool that like they're just soaking everything up, and trying to be the best version of themselves.
Yeah, and get to be in that environment and watch things at the highest level, right?
Right.
And you have a unique advantage in a way that NXN is out your front door.
Right.
Those other kids can come watch their teammates participate, and that becomes a reality for them, something that they
Right.
can achieve. That's pretty awesome ability to do that.
Yes. Yeah. It's great. We had over 100 people that are supporting us on Saturday.
All right, so three things we wrap up here. Three things collectively between us that worked really well for us this season. What's one?
Well, I think for us, like we talked about this pre-fire drill, but self-belief, belief in self, like I think was really important and vital for our boys team. That was money. Like believing that they belonged, believing that they could compete with the best teams in the state again was really important. How about you?
I would say for us, just a little bit more specifically, we've talked in the past how we're going to keep threshold stuff longer, and I think that really kept us healthy and being able to race effectively throughout the course of the year and execute race plans as we needed to. We knew when it was time to do this, and we knew when it was time to do this. And at the end of the year, almost every single person ran a career best at Detweiler, if not a lifetime best, which was just awesome to be able to watch. It's fun. It's fun when both groups, we both have a unique ability to coach both boys and girls, and a lot of people don't. If you don't coach both, you don't realize how quickly you have to flip a switch from one race to the next. And,
Mhm.
if the girls' race goes really well, you got to step in that huddle with the boys. And how do you convey your emotions there? And what do you say? And it's a lot of fun, especially at the state meet, when this group finishes and you celebrate, and then the next group finishes and you can celebrate the same way because you see the same type of success and results that you saw in the first group. So I would say for us, keeping people healthy, running a little more threshold throughout the course of the season was a huge component into that success late in the season.
Mhm. Yeah. I think another one for us too is like we just talked about this with the boys side. Like if you can get to a place where you're 17 and on the girls side as well, like if you can get yourself to a place where you're 17 is as excited as you're one and feels like they're a part of it, like that's a pretty great place to be in. And when I think to like our number 11 boy, like he traveled with us to the state meet. He didn't get to run, but he was so happy and felt so much joy for those kids. And you create this large group of people who are all, competing for the same goal and the same idea. Like it just creates this really special environment where kids are pushing each other in a really healthy way, and it helps them all find success.
Yeah, I would say the last one probably for both of us would just be leadership.
Mhm.
Savannah Franzen, the fastest girl I've ever coached, they call her Mama Duck, and the baby ducklings just follow her around and do exactly what she's supposed to do. Now we're not that kind of commitment level yet, but it's just been awesome to watch. It's awesome when your hardest worker is your leader, and when your
Mhm.
leader is your hardest worker. And she is that person for us. The guys equally have the same, but I think that's a prime example for her. We were very young. I mean, we only got 6 girls, and everybody needs to execute, and everybody executed when it mattered most. And a lot of that came from her preparation and leadership. And
Yeah,
so you saw that happen on your team. I saw that happen on my team. That leadership component is huge from the kids.
for sure.
All right. Well, we wrapped up this one part episode, a week apart. As you're watching this, you won't know a difference other than what we're wearing. Um,
Yeah.
we hope to be back with you in a month. We got some fun stuff brewing and working. Maybe a couple of sponsorships along the way. Maybe if you're interested, reach out. Who knows? Don't miss the boat. You may want to get on before you know it. So until we see you next time, enjoy your holiday. Stay safe out there. When you coming back?
Tomorrow morning.
Oh, for a month?
Yeah.
Mm.
Rest of December.
Portillo's tomorrow morning.
I cannot wait. That's all I've been thinking about.
All right, we'll see you guys next time.